I know that you're super excited to get listening to this podcast, but before you do, I wanted to share the news with you of an exciting new course that I have available. And this is for anybody who is eager to learn the tarot. Now, whenever I started off on my spiritual journey, the tarot was what I learned initially. I really started off with the cards, and they then helped me develop my other clairs and really deepen my connection to spirit. So it's a great way for anyone to really deepen that connection and start themselves off on a wonderful journey of being able to interpret this wonderful intuitive information that we have been gifted. You can head across to themediumshipacademy.com. Now, the Mediumship Academy is a subscription-based place where you can learn mediumship on demand, as well as join in some live courses. However, this course is in addition to that program. So it is outside of that. It's an additional cost. But feel free to go and check it out. Drop me an email if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing you there. Welcome to this week's episode of the Happy Psychic Podcast. I am your guest, your guiding light, Gemma Lonsdale. And this week I am joined by the wonderful Lynnsey Robinson, who is a certified hypnotherapist and intuitive guide. Lynnsey is really passionate about helping people rewire their minds in order to help them achieve their biggest goals. And it's just been a fascinating conversation. I really hope you enjoy it. We are really exploring how our own limiting beliefs and how our past traumas can really hinder what we believe that we're even capable of, and how we can actually clear those things from our mind in order to achieve the person that we want to be in this lifetime. Lynnsey, it is great to have you on.
I'm so excited. I'm very happy to be here, connect with you. I know today's going to be a great conversation.
Yes, I'm very excited as well. And I wanted to find out a little bit more about what exactly it is that you do, because I know that you're all about helping people align with their goals and their minds, but tell me a bit more.
Okay, so there's so much I could say. I'm going to try to keep it concise and hopefully in some kind of understandable English.
It's always one of the scary things, isn't it, with a question like that? It's like, okay, how much do you want?
Yeah, what do you
talk for like 5 hours?
Yeah. Well, okay. So first, the first part I'll go into is kind of how I came into this world of hypnotherapy and the mind. I've kind of always been fascinated with the mind. I think a lot of people who get into, obviously psychology and psychiatry, but also coaches, therapists, all that sort of thing. Anyone who works with people, I think you have to have a healthy thirst for knowledge and like just wanting to know how people work and how people tick and what we actually are. I remember thinking, even as a kid, like I would be 12, 13, just gosh, I don't know if I could say that. Well, it's called the Happy Psychic. This will be fine. Yeah. I used to walk around the graveyard and like touch the graves and try to figure out how they died just by like, I guess what you would call psychometry now, but I had no idea. I was just, and now as an adult, I'm like, well, they probably weren't hanging around the graveyard, but as a kid, you're just like, I want all the spooky things. Give me spooky. And I grew up in a small town in Michigan, which had like as far as the states go, a very old cemetery, it was like 1800s, very old graves in the United States. But yeah, so I was always that kid that I didn't understand what it was that I wanted, which was just a deep understanding of what we are beyond the physical. it's just amazing. And I still don't know, but I'm still so excited to learn more. And as I grew up, I kind of was, figuring out life and wasn't really attaching myself, didn't really resonate with like a religion per se. My mom was very religious, but my dad was always like, this is my last life. I'm not coming back. And he was so blasé about the fact that reincarnation existed. And I was like, this is fascinating. What is this? And, just all these questions. And by the time I was like 19, my sister gave me this book. I don't have it here, but it's called Journey of Souls. There's actually two, Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls by Michael Newton, who's a hypnotherapist who ended up, who kind of fell into this idea of life between life. He was a psychologist who wanted to try out hypnosis on his clients to see if it would if he could get like better results or whatever. And they ended up taking him on these journeys of like, I just died and now I'm picking my next life based on what my soul wants to learn and who I'm going to be with and all of these things. And he's like, what the heck is this? And it was just such a fascinating book to me. I didn't know what hypnotherapy was, but you know, it kind of ticked all the boxes that I didn't know I had of like, this is real. This is true. This is what feels right to me. And it's different, but it's okay that it just feels good to me. And so I had this urge you know how when something happens that just, you know, is your soul talking to you, and then everything kind of falls into place where before it felt so hard and then it just started to get so easy. Not necessarily easy, because for me it was, hey, you have to move to California now by yourself at 20 years old. And in my head, I'm like, why? What is this? What's going on? My family didn't understand. They still kind of don't. They're like, what are you doing out there? You need to be back in Michigan. And it didn't make sense, but I knew I had to do it. So I just picked up and left, went to LA by myself, got a job, ended up meeting my husband there and had a couple kids. But at the time it was like, I just have to go. I don't know what it is, but I got to go. I got to go here for some reason and make this huge decision and this huge change in my life simply because I can't ignore this feeling. And I think we kind of have all had that experience to some extent, whether or not we listen, you know, is our own path. But I ended up taking out a student loan and listening and going. And then, so fast forward to 2012. So I moved in 2006. So in 2012, I had my first boy, my first son, and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I work at GameStop. Like, what am I going to do with my life? I'm just paying bills, but I want to stay home with my kid. I want to enjoy this time in my life with my new baby. And so I had this like, oh my gosh, hypnotherapy. Remember hypnotherapy 6 years ago when you read this book? Or remember you wanted to do this? Like you had to do this? And I kind of got that excitement that I got when I read the book the first time. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could do this. And then the other voice happened that was like, you're a mom now. You got to be responsible. Why don't you go get a job? Go get some secure money. Go get some safe money. And my husband was already working like 2 jobs and taking care of us very well. But I knew I wanted to contribute and I knew I wanted to be with my baby. So like, what the heck? What do I do? Ended up just like, but what if I just made a call? What if I just researched? What if I just found out how possible it actually was to maybe do this? Because a new voice came in that was like, but wait a minute. Why can't you do this? Instead of how could I do this? It's like, why can't you? Because everybody that's ever done anything had to start with one decision of like, maybe you should research. Maybe you should make a call. What if you just looked into it? That's not scary. Right? So I made a call and I ended up doing a tour at the Institute, which was in the same town that I lived. I didn't know this at the time. And I went to go do a tour and they had just started a new semester the day before. Oh, of course they did. So I called my husband from the Institute and I said, can I actually do this? Meaning like, please give me a reason to back out because I'm scared. This is scary. I have to take out another student loan. I have to be in debt. But if it all works out, it could be amazing. And he said, do you really want to do it? I said, yeah. And he goes, okay, we'll figure it out. And here we are. But actually, fun fact, very fun. This is just still to me so incredible that so I started in 2012, ended in 2013. I graduated with honors. It's a year-long program with 6 months of internship or residency where you see clients and get your hours and all that sort of thing. And I ended up working at the Institute that I graduated from as a tutor for the distance program. So if somebody in another town or another country wanted to take the course, I'd be the liaison to help them through the course kind of thing. And I as an employee now, as opposed to a student, I looked myself up in the database because who doesn't, right? Everybody, I think everybody would look up their own name if they ended up like working for the place that they were just a student at. So I just looked my name up and this is not, like I cannot make this up. I had an application from 2005 that I had filled out from Michigan for the distance program. They had my phone number. They had my address from Michigan. And in the notes section, it said, called 3 times, no answer. So, I must have done that thing where you you look into it and then you just don't answer when they call you back. You want more information and then you change your mind. You're like, I'm not ready. I don't know. Yeah. So I was in their database as a potential distant student when I was 19 years old. And it must have been right after I read that book. I was like, I just want to do it all. I want to do it. And then I forgot. So
I've got shivers. Just whenever you started, I'm covered in goosebumps.
Like still to this day, when I think about that, I'm like, oh my God, soul, good job. Like, look at you.
Isn't that like testament though to how our soul will always get us onto the right path?
Oh my God.
Always. Even if it's 10 years later.
Totally. You can fight it as long as you want to. But like, it just, to me, when that voice gets so loud of like, move to California, move, you gotta go. Never once did I think I'm going to move to California. I've always thought like, that's not somewhere I want to be. Mm-hmm. I wanted to go to New York. I wanted to go to the East Coast. I wanted to go to somewhere that was like historical. Cause I'm speaking to somebody who has like ancient history, but in the States, we don't really have that. This closest we get is maybe 1700s, 1600s, maybe if anything's left. But I've always thirsted for history. And so I always wanted to go there. So for me, going to LA, what? It didn't make sense, but it does now. For darn sure it makes sense now. And now I'm in Nevada, so I still haven't made it all the way over to the East Coast, but I'm inching my way and one day I'll get there, hopefully. But this is what was needed, and I'm fully embracing and accepting of that and would not have it any other way, for sure.
So that's an amazing story. For one, I think it's definitely true how it's just such a great example of how destiny can get us there. Whenever our path needs to align, it aligns. It doesn't matter if it's now, in 10 years, in 50 years, it's always going to align. Yeah. However, how did you actually get on to the path that you're on? So I can understand like the hypnotherapy. You could have went on to be helping people lose weight, stop smoking, how did you end up doing this? Where did that come from?
What I love to help clients with is really just comes down to like, hey, remember how cool you are? Remember how awesome you are? Remember that spirit that just was unlimited and could do anything? And a lot of us don't remember that because as I can definitely speak to, we get into this hamster wheel of got to pay the bills, got to be what society wants us to be, got to get married, got to go to college, got to get a loan, got to be in debt for the rest of my life, got to fit into a size 2, gosh, whatever. And I just, ew, like I didn't do any of that. I mean, I had a baby before I got married. I did everything in the wrong order. And I've just always felt different in the way that a child who goes to the cemetery and touches gravestones would feel different. And so I've just never, I couldn't if I tried. I could not. I don't think I could fit into society if I tried. I'm so weird. And I think that that's great. I love it. I love that my kids are weird. I think we should all be a little weird. And I think we are. We just forgot. And we just don't want to embrace it and we don't want to notice it. So when I'm able to help a client remember that uniqueness, and I say weird and unique, and I think unique and weird are both beautiful words. I'm taking the word weird back because why aren't you weird? Let's be weird, please. Like, where'd you lose that? We were all weird at one point in a good way. And so I like to help clients just remember that power, that once you can reconnect to your spirit and your soul, or whatever that means to you, once you can connect to your essence, oh my gosh, the doors burst open for you. Everything falls into place. It really does. And the things that don't fall into place, you don't care because you know they're not for you. And they just seem to fall away so that the thing that is there for you and right for you can show up. And what's better than that? I can help you lose weight. I can help you stop smoking, but that's a small, tiny piece of what you're capable of and what you can do. So after we're done stopping smoking and getting rid of that, let's figure out where you stop being amazing and let's start being amazing again. I mean, not that you never were, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's always like that we just feel this need to conform to society. And I suppose it's like peeling back the layers, isn't it? Of, well, actually, this is who we were meant to be, but we've changed all of that and covered it all up and buried it in order to fit this box that society wants us to stick in. We love labels, don't we? We love putting people into boxes and categories. And
it's human nature. And here's the thing. I don't care if your spirit and soul is telling you to be a contract, laborer. I don't care what it is, as long as it's because you want to do it. I think that's the thing. I think a lot of us get stuck in this thing of just needing to please others for whatever reason. I know, coming off of generations of like need, right? We're coming off of generations of surviving, and some of us haven't. We're still surviving, of course, but I think now we have more opportunity than ever to step out of the need and into the want. And that's hard and scary it was scary for me. It's still scary, because need is safe. Want is dangerous. Sometimes it can feel that way.
Another thing as well, I think, whenever, especially those who do associate more, and I know that you work predominantly with women, but for those people who associate more with the feminine energy, we're very much, and I don't know whether it's a societal expectation thing or what, but we always seem to be wanting to please other people or wanting to nurture other people.
Yeah.
And it's often about putting our own needs and everything last or second. So whenever we start to prioritize our own wants and needs and our own likes, then we can start to get to a place where we're being fulfilling for our own benefit rather than just being here to fulfill others' needs.
Yeah. And that is another hard thing to do. I know as a mom, like I can talk about self-care all day, but if I haven't eaten dinner and my kids haven't eaten dinner, I'm going to make them dinner first before I make myself, before I eat, they're going to eat. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're also acknowledging that you are a human, you are a person, and this vessel needs to survive as well. There's so many cliches. You can't pour from an empty cup. You got to put your face mask on before you put your children on. Whoever you're with, you have to take care of yourself first. And we can talk about it all day, but practically, it is one of the hardest things to do, especially when you have responsibilities and kids or pets or, a spouse. Yeah. Well, I don't know. See, spouse is weird to me because they're a full grown adult usually. Yeah. They can take care of themselves. And I think that a lot of people will be like, but I'm a wife and a mother. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. You're a human. You're a person too.
Yeah. Oh, I feel so bad actually. So my daughter has her iPhone and then she has her iPad and they both link up, and me and her dad are separate. So she goes to his half of the week and then she comes to mine. Yeah. And I was looking through her phone and it wasn't actually very, very long ago, but there was a message there between me and her where she had asked me, can you die from food poisoning from eating pancakes? And it was a day that I was very absorbed in my work life, and she had some pancake mix in the fridge because I would sometimes mix just a batch up and then I have it there to make her breakfast, and she was in the kitchen cooking for herself, worried if she was going to die because the pancake wasn't completely cooked. And I thought, well, isn't that just the perfect example of me looking after myself first and my daughter second? And that doesn't always happen, but I was like, oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed about that. But yeah, we can't always be there for everybody all the time. But
and
yeah,
for anyone wondering, no, you can't die from a raw pancake. in case that's a question you've had. No. Yeah. How old is your daughter? That's so cute.
She's 9. She's going to be 10 in January, which is still quite young. So
that's pretty impressive. She's making pancakes at 9. My kid's 11 and he's nervous about all that stuff.
Yeah, well, she's starting to really get a bit of an interest in cooking and being in the kitchen, and so if there's an opportunity for her to do something for herself, she's actually quite eager to do it. Which is why she was going to she was going to kill herself from food poisoning before starving, which is quite an admirable trait.
That is I'm going to eat this.
Yeah.
But am I going to be okay?
Yeah. Oh dear.
That's
But yeah,
funny.
she was fine. She didn't die. She's still
Aw.
alive. Yeah, she's still
She's still
alive.
kicking.
So
She's still
yeah,
around.
she's fine.
That's cute.
So whenever you're working with people, you know, do they come along to you already knowing what direction they want to go in or what they want to do? Or, you know, because I think that there's so many layers that we have to peel back that sometimes we end up in the position of knowing that, like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not fulfilled. I'm not happy, whatever. But we don't actually know what direction that we need to move
Yeah.
in.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I mean, this is actually a question that for a long time, nobody ever asked. And I wasn't thinking of answering it, but lately, and almost every time I talk about this, somebody asks this question, and it is a good question because I know a lot of people could possibly be hinging their decision on whether, like, do I have to be ready? Do I have to be prepared? Do I have to have all the answers before I get the answers, you know? And absolutely not. You don't. I would say about 50-50. I have half my clients on average will know exactly what they want to do, but they just can't do it. And then I have other people, like, they just don't feel right in their lives and they don't know what it is, but they do know one thing that everybody does know when they come to me is that it's a mental thing. It could be an emotional thing. It could be something in their mind, in their subconscious that they can't access because it's not getting overcome. It's not getting thought about, it's not getting acknowledged, and they're doing everything they can to do those things, and it's just not happening. And so to me, that screams mental, that screams emotional, or something from your experiences in the past that your subconscious just holds on to. Because the bottom line is, if you want something and you don't have it yet, either you just got to wait a little longer. Sometimes it's a patience thing, and other times it's because your subconscious is saying, no, that's dangerous. I'm trying to keep you alive, and that's not safe. And I'm saying these things as if they make sense, right? But it doesn't make sense to your conscious mind. When you find out the reason your subconscious is trying to keep you, heavy quotes here, trying to keep you safe, it sounds ridiculous. Oh, we can't have $1 million. That's not safe. Consciously, of course, what do you mean? Of course that's safe. But we don't know what's going on and the reasons why in your subconscious. So this might actually be a good time for me to explain how the subconscious works. Is that okay?
Yeah,
because
please
then we can kind of understand that something's getting lost in the translation. It does make sense to your subconscious, and that's the only thing that matters. So going back to the beginning, when you're born, let's just imagine that when you're born, your mind is a circle. We know it doesn't have a shape. It's abstract. It's a metaphysical sense, but let's just for the sake of visualization, it's a circle. All babies are born with a mind circle, and it's completely empty except for the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. And of course, the fight or flight response, which is activated with the fear of loud noises or the fear of falling. So that's it. Now think about that for 1 second. That's it. Those are the only fears you have. Everything since then was learned. Everything you're afraid of, every block you have, every sticking point was learned. Now, the important thing to know is it was needed. If it was learned, it was needed at one point. So your subconscious doesn't hate you. It's just trying to go off the information it has to keep you, as I said, breathing and alive. That's the only job it has. One foot in front of the other. Let's be alive, please, and safe. Now, as you grow up, you learn things about yourself. So I like chocolate. I don't like broccoli. You know, this is from a kid's point of view. I love getting hugs and kisses. I don't like getting in trouble. That's not fun. And all these things kind of start to become what will be true about you. And as you hit probably, I always say like 7 to 9 is a good average. About 7 to 9, you get what's called a critical filter or critical mind, which acts as a separation between the newly formed conscious and subconscious mind. So everything that you've learned up until that point gets stored as your subconscious mind. Also, as we know, in the subconscious, you have all of your automatic behaviors. Your ability to speak is a subconscious behavior. Choosing the words is a conscious behavior, but your ability is subconscious. When you learn to ride a bike, that gets stored. Your emotions, your blinking, your breathing, your heartbeat, everything that really actually keeps you alive and that you don't have to think about. Imagine having to remember to breathe, guys. Like, what? Thank you, subconscious, right? Oh my gosh. Now, I'm very excited about the subconscious. It's my bestie. But so we have the critical filter, we have the conscious, we have the subconscious. The subconscious mind is about 90 to 95% of your mind. It's a huge, huge number, because think about everything that's in there. Things you know about and things you don't know about are all in there. And it's just ridiculous with what it's capable of doing. Conscious mind holds your logic, your reasoning, your decision-making skills, your willpower, your analytical skills, all of that stuff. Now, as I said, your ability to speak is subconscious, but the words you're choosing are conscious. So both parts of your mind are always working together semi-harmoniously so that you can be a human being in the world. But you just don't always have access to that subconscious. When you have a goal or an idea or a desire, it starts in the conscious. You think of it. Oh, that would be nice. That would be really cool if I had $1 million. And then it, checks in with the critical filter, which I like to picture as like a doorman in a club, right? It's this like exclusive club. And he's just standing there with his clipboard. That's the critical filter. So it checks in with the subconscious, checks the list as it were. And if anything is first of all, if $1 million isn't on the list, it's no. And if there's anything contradicting that $1 million, like let's say you learned that money doesn't grow on trees, you have to work hard for every dollar you get. It's really hard to get a lot of money these days. All of those things, it's just no, you're not getting in. You could feel good for a while trying to get that $1 million. You could hustle, and then you'll reach that point usually where, this is impossible. I'm not going to be able to do this. This is never going to happen for me. It's just happening it's just for other people, not me. And that's how that's the subconscious trying to keep you safe. It doesn't hate you. It doesn't want you to fail. It's just, no, this isn't compatible with what we have in here. So what I'm able to do with hypnosis is help you take that beautiful idea. And of course, it might not be $1 million. It might be the love of your life. It might be quitting smoking. It might be getting down a couple clothing sizes, whatever that might be, getting healthier. Then I take that beautiful idea that you have, and we create kind of a pathway through the critical filter so that we're able to access the subconscious. We're basically tipping the doorman $200 or $300, $500. We're getting into the club so that we can not only see what's going on in the subconscious, but we can help you release it with love, always releasing with love because it was needed. And we appreciate everything that subconscious does for us, but it's okay that it doesn't fit us anymore. We're releasing with love and replacing with things, beliefs, what you'd like to believe instead, that represent where you're going, who you're becoming, who you were always meant to be, versus where you are comfortably uncomfortable now. Does that make sense? Is that good? Okay.
Made absolute sense.
Okay, good.
So how do we actually know, so for me, if we take me as an example, I've been single. My daughter says I'm single as a Pringle. So I've been single for 5 years after me and her dad split up, and I have had a lot going on in that time. I've been spending my time healing, working on myself, working on the business. So how would I know whether it's maybe just not meant to happen just yet, or where my subconscious is sabotaging me and trying to tell me, well, no, Gemma, you're not ready for love yet, or, it's dangerous to find love is dangerous. How do I actually know if it's my subconscious or whether it is just a timing thing?
Well, you may or may not know, but you just told me your limiting beliefs right now. Finding love is dangerous. Hello?
I was using that as an example.
Yeah, but where did it come from? Gemma, where did it come from?
And that is true. There must be something there that is maybe preventing me from having that. It's safer to be alone. Or
are you okay with talking about you for a minute? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what I would say to a lovely friend or a client, if they were telling me this, is, of course it feels dangerous. Think about what happened last time. I don't know any details about what happened, but you're not together. So that's there's something that happened, and that definitely feels dangerous. And I know that there's a lot of pain and heartache and things that happen even during the process. And your subconscious is taking notes all the time. Okay, this hurts. Let's not do this again. This is painful. Mm-hmm. Again, trying to protect you.
Well, whenever I've sat and actually picked it apart, and I don't know if this is where it stems to, but definitely things that have come up that I have been probably overlooking, which probably I think would be very good for listeners as well to be aware of. Like whenever I traced back to my parents' divorce, I always knew that I had like mother wound, but I hadn't really considered the father wound. And when my parents divorced, they had a very, very messy divorce. I was 17 years old. My dad was always the breadwinner. My mum was financially dependent on him. So it caused all sorts of issues really for my mum whenever this separation happened.
Yeah.
So I have always been hyper dependent, hyper in my masculine, you know, I'm the breadwinner. I'm not giving you half of everything. You know, I've always really kept that. So I guess I've been keeping my guard up, and the thoughts of letting that integrate with someone. And I think it could be much more complicated than that, but it's something that I hadn't actually realized until recently that had impacted on me. And I think that this is where it's so interesting for us on each of our journeys that we think we're fine, we think we're in a good place, but actually there's so much more going on than what we're aware of. And I would consider myself to be a highly evolved and, you know, far down my healing journey. We're never completely healed, ever. But I thought I was doing well. I thought I was like doing really well. And then I realized, oh, I'm carrying all this baggage from my parents' divorce and from what happened around that. And I had no idea. And I'm going to be 40 in January. And I had no idea that I was holding on to that. I had no idea the impact that it had actually had on me. And I think I only came to this realization a month ago.
So here's the thing. You are doing really well. You can still be doing really well. And how awesome that you've discovered something else that you didn't know was there. You know, if we can, and I know you do this, you're definitely way more conscious than a lot of people that I talk to just in life. But I think I definitely, I'll speak about me. I was not even starting my spiritual journey when I got married. I started my spiritual journey when I would say my son was like 7 months old. So I was married 5 months. He was 2 months old at our wedding. But I am such a different person now. And I'm very, very fortunate. And I don't know if lucky is the right word, but I'm very fortunate that my partner, my spouse, is unbelievably supportive of my journey, of our journey together, and anything that he understands that I'm a very ambitious person. You know, I'm probably not going to slow down. But I'm very fortunate. There's a lot of us that get into these situations that are right for us at the time. And then we become people that maybe the situations aren't really compatible with anymore. Mm-hmm. And half of the, oh God, it is so hard, but half of the journey is just recognizing that, like, okay, it's okay that who I am now isn't compatible with maybe some of the situations or the people around me. It has to be okay. Like, that's okay. You are not a bad person because you've recognized this, and they are not bad people for not coming with you on the next part. It's just, it is what it is. And what I was going to say is, if we can take ourselves just for a sec, even just take yourselves out of the judgment of what the situation is and just acknowledge without judgment and have compassion for the human that you are and the soul that's on this journey, a lot more answers feel safer to come versus like, I can't, like there's so much resistance around it, and understandably so. I know it would, my parents are divorced as well. It quite literally tears the family apart. Like, it tears it in half. And sometimes it's amicable and sometimes it's harder than other times. But I think no matter what, there's a rift now. There's a separation. There's something that it wasn't there before. And that's a really hard thing for a lot of people. Another thing that I was going to say, if I may, is that you can be healed and keep healing. I know you said we're never done healing, and you're right. We know, as Abraham Hicks says, when you're done, you're dead, right? And then you just start again and just keep going. But we're never done. And that's another thing. When you said, How do I know it's my subconscious, or if it's just not the right time? I think maybe I was being presumptuous when I said you answered your own question, but a lot of us do. If you can write down what might be a reason, a good reason why I might not want this. What might be a reason why this would be unsafe? And you would write down, well, finding love is dangerous. Look what happened last time.
I was just thinking in my head there, because it's safer. It's safer to just, I'm in my own little bubble, and this is easy. Like, this is easier. And yes, I yearn for a connection, but what I have is easier. It is like the safest option. But I had never, as I say, like, it's only this last month that I've started to have all these realizations. And even whenever I went into my marriage as well, I hadn't realized until like a month ago that my parents' divorce had shaped how I viewed full-time permanent relationships. Because I was already thinking, well, it's not forever. If it doesn't last, it's fine. So that was my viewpoint whenever I went into marriage, was that actually, well, based on my parents, it didn't end well. It did end. So we just accept that, it will end at some point. And that was very much the thought that I had. But I hadn't realized that was what had shaped that perception. So it's just been an incredible journey.
Yeah.
Like, whenever, and this was really, I've had so much healing that has come up because it's just come up, and it's, the universe has like forced it out of me. But this bit, because it has been really irksome for me, I really made the conscious effort to dig deeper into this. And I was really surprised by what I found, because I really thought that was all done and dusted. Yeah. And I think if I could be thinking that, what else, is everyone else not dealing with that they should be dealing with, that's holding them back?
And it really just comes down to like asking the right questions and listening to yourself. Ask the question and also acknowledge when the answer comes, because it will. Anytime you ask a question, your mind is working for the answer. It's just a natural cause and effect. So I would say write it down, because that is the most potent way to get answers from the subconscious. It's a direct line of communication to your subconscious, because handwriting is an automatic behavior. We don't have to think about how to write. We just have to think about what to write. So if you can write down what might be a reason that it's not safe for me to get promoted, that it's not safe for me to have a loving, lasting relationships, that it's not safe for me to get to the next level of my success. Oh my gosh, anything. That it's not safe for me to lose weight, or to work out, or to be healthier, to feel healthier. I had a couple clients actually get very surprised when they discovered that one of the biggest things that was holding them back from wanting to feel as beautiful on the outside as they felt on the inside. And that is how I always say it, because it doesn't matter what that looks like. If you just want to feel on the outside how you feel on the inside, that's it. That's the only criteria. So whatever that looks like for them. And for them, it looked like, well, I want to get back to my natural weight, which is, a couple dress sizes down. And they discovered that they were resistant, because every time they get down to that size, they get unwanted attention. Big deterrent. I know I don't want to be, who wants that unwanted attention? It's in the name. So it was surprising to them, because they didn't consciously, they hadn't considered that. They just wanted to look in the mirror and feel good. But if I look a certain way, I'm going to get all of this nonsense and people in my DMs and, all these propositions and all this stuff. So that was something that we had to work on, not to prevent it, because you can't really, but to either let that be okay, shift their perspective on it so that they can still have what they want, or maybe what they want is different now that they've discovered this. So all of that to say, we have to have a little bit more compassion for ourselves, not only to accept why we don't have the thing yet, but also to be open to the path. Because once you discover what it is that's holding you back, maybe you don't want the thing anymore. Maybe you decide that you want something else, and that's okay. Oh my gosh, if I woke up tomorrow and changed my mind and didn't want to be a hypnotherapist anymore, I would let myself do that. It'd be weird. It'd be very, very weird, but I would have to let myself do that, because if I force myself to do something that I thought I wanted at the time, but now I don't want anymore. I mean, I know I'm speaking to something so familiar to everybody, but that's the definition to me of trapped. And I don't ever want to feel trapped.
It's really interesting, actually, because I grew up with this. I suppose this is one of these self-limiting beliefs that I wasn't sporty, that I didn't have good hand-eye coordination. So I almost had just put myself in the heap of, well, I'm not really a sports person. Sport isn't for me. And I was playing with my dog's ball, and I was throwing it up in the air and catching it. And all of a sudden I was like,
wait a minute.
I can do all these weird things with this ball, and I keep catching it. And yet I always have had this belief of, well, I don't have good hand-eye coordination. So, and I'm like, so how can I do all of these like crazy things and still keep catching the ball? And I suddenly realized that actually with everything that we have in life that we go after or that we don't go after, it's always our mind that's blocking it. It's we can literally do anything we want to do. And it's only our minds that's holding us back. And that, again, was just recently. And I was like, oh my God, this is like amazing. Yeah. You know, there's so many things, because I'm a psychic medium. There's so much that spirit show me that's on my path of like what's coming to me. They've shown me winning like loads of awards and things, doing dressage on a horse. And I've just recently returned to horse riding. So to me, that was a bit like, well, that's crazy to think that's the direction that I'm going in. But of course, they're trying to help me see that actually you can do anything you want to. You just need to remove the blocks that are preventing you from getting there. If you want it, if that's the direction you want to go and you want to have that, it's yours. You want to be president of the United States? Go for it. I know that there's the thing of the Constitution and everything, but you know, I'm sure, if you want it enough, I'm sure that the universe will make inroads as well for you if you're doing the work on removing those blocks. Yeah.
I always say, if you want it, there's a way to get it. And I remember feeling that when I wanted to do hypnotherapy and my subconscious lovingly tried to talk me out of it. I remember thinking like, if I really want to do this, there is a way to do it. If you wouldn't really want it if there wasn't a way to get it. I have to say this because this tends to come up, and I just want to be very clear. When we say you could do anything, that's true, right? And I immediately think of like, there's always somebody thinking like, oh, so if I want to get back together with my ex and make him love me again, or, you know, whatever, and it will just all be peachy. Like, that's possible, right? Okay, so here's what I will say about that. A little fine print at the bottom of you can do anything. Make sure you really want it. I'm almost certain that the person thinking of their ex doesn't really want their ex. They want the feelings they had when it was really good with their ex. And that you can have, but it's probably not going to be with the person that you are exed with, because there's always a reason that you're an ex, right? It's not an accident that you're an ex. But with those kind of messy things, I just want to say, like, make sure you know why you want it. What are the feelings you want? And that's what you're manifesting. Because, you know, spoiler, it's always the feeling. You're always manifesting a feeling. It's never the actual thing. You want a sports car? Why? What are you going to feel like? That's what you really want. Always.
I often wonder with those situations, is it actually just the ego? Is it our ego wanting the validation rather than us actually wanting the thing?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, not always, but definitely most of the time. I'd say a good portion of the time. If I can do that, then that means then I'm defining something about me. I'm making something true about me when that happens. And you know, let go of it. How does that feel? It doesn't feel good. Like, for a second, maybe. And trust me, I'm the queen of trying to validate myself. Okay. Like, I am the queen of wanting to win just for the sake of winning. I'm very bad at losing, especially with board games. But I can also say with knowledge and experience that that's not sustainable. So with love, I say, when you think of the thing that you want, what are the feelings? You want $1 million? Why? For me, it would be the freedom, the stability, the ability to not have to worry about where my money is going to come from with my bills, and maybe, I would say give my kids a good life, but they got a good life already. They don't need $1 million. They really don't. It'd probably be just for vacations.
Almost like it's the freedom though that you can have to spend time with your loved ones and to spend time with the pursuits that you want to do. Like for me, I would be out in the horse array. I would just be focusing on that. I would be spending time with my daughter. I would probably get more involved in like charitable stuff and educating lots and lots of people. So it's about the freedom to help you do the things that you want to do, and the freedom that allows you to help a larger amount of people. So it's like coming from a place of heartfeltness.
Absolutely.
Heartfeltness. That's a new word. That's completely valid.
Heartfeltness. And now the thing that you're trying to bring in, the goal you're trying to achieve, you have something to attach to. Rather than this abstract $1 million, you can connect to that feeling. And that's the best way to train your mind. Hypnotherapy is fast. Hypnotherapy is great. Hypnotherapy is fun. It's relaxing. It keeps you accountable, especially when you're working with someone. It is very potent work. But if you don't have access to hypnotherapy or to a hypnotherapist, which you should, because I have a membership and you can join it and you can get access to everything that I have. But if you don't, just start practicing what it would be like if you already had it. How would I be operating today if I knew I had $1 million in the bank? What would I be doing? How would I be operating today if I knew that the love of my life was just around the corner? If I didn't have to worry about getting the goal because it was already mine, how would I be acting? And that helps to create new neural pathways in your brain as if it's already happened. And oh my gosh, when you can get your subconscious on the same team as your conscious goal, you have 100% of your mind working toward that goal. Your subconscious is naturally always a goal machine. It is constantly churning out goals based on what it knows about you and what it knows will keep you safe and what it thinks that you want. So all we're doing with hypnotherapy and really any kind of mindset training is teaching your subconscious what it is you want and teaching it that it's safe to have it. Because once it knows that it's safe, it's already yours. It's already happening. It's automatic, which is why I say I help clients achieve their goals on autopilot, because you don't have to think about it anymore. Once it's in your subconscious and it's okay and you got the green light, it's already happening. The universe will move worlds to give you what you want. You just have to align with it. And that's how I help clients do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Honestly, this conversation has been amazing.
I'm feel like
I've had a free session. So like, honestly, there was so much in there that was major light bulb moments for me, and everything, it just helps everything make a little bit more sense, and how it all even integrates into manifestation and everything as well. That was just phenomenal. I'm very excited for the listeners. This is very good.
I'm very happy. And I didn't really say this, but manifestation and hypnotherapy are both, potato. Like you could say either and you'd be meaning the same thing. With manifestation, you are becoming an energetic match to what you want, correct? Yes, that's what we're doing. We're attracting it. Like attracts like. With hypnotherapy, we're getting your subconscious on board with your desires so that you can achieve it. And it happens because it's always doing things for you. It's always making stuff happen for you. We're just teaching it what to make happen. So I believe they're both saying the exact same thing, but in different ways. And that's why they work so perfectly together, because they're the same thing. They're sisters.
It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. This has been such a good conversation.
I think so.
Yeah, no, definitely, without a doubt. I'm really pleased that we've had the chance to record this today, for sure. So how can people find you? And you mentioned your membership there as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So I have it's called the Align Your Mind membership. It's a very snazzy name. And you can just find it on my website or just Google the Align Your Mind membership. And it's never mind. I was going to say, hey, there's a sale, but that was Black Friday and this is not going to go out today. So never mind. But you can go on my website and find the membership, Align Your Mind membership. And it's just basically, you can get two options. One, you can get my audio library, which is all of my hypnotherapy audios for really anything that you can think of that you would want to achieve. Plus, I have like curated toolkits in there, like let's pick a goal. And then there's 4 or 5 resources in there just for that goal to help you achieve it. There are EFT sessions in there. There's tarot card pulls. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Those are the bonuses and the extra content. Or the other tier is you can just get the audios. So you can get the audios with everything, or the audios on their own and just get access to my library. And that's the Align Your Mind membership. Very small fee per month. And it's great. I love it. It's fantastic. And so far, people are loving it. And then I do one-to-one sessions. So if you want to become a client, I have spots open for 2024. Very potent work, personalized with me, to get very specific on what it is you want. I'm able then in a one-on-one setting to speak directly to your subconscious based on how you take in information, because everybody's different. And I basically learn your subconscious language and use my hypnosis with how you take in so that it's even faster. And then I also have a podcast that airs every other Monday, I believe now. During the holidays, we're doing every other Monday or Tuesday, I think. I don't know. My co-host is the one that airs them. So it's either Monday or Tuesday every other week. And we just talk about how to feel more. We talk about this. We talk about hypnosis. We talk about manifesting. We talk about self-love and self-care and empowerment and just all the things to make you feel good on a Monday or Tuesday. Yeah. Is that everything? No, I think that's everything.
And then if you listen on a Wednesday, you can still feel good.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it has been absolutely amazing having you on. I am thrilled that we've had this conversation. I know that we will have lots of people having enlightened minds from it. And I just wish you all the best for the future. And maybe we can catch up again on another episode in the future.
I would love to. Well, you're absolutely fantastic.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you're able to, please rate the show or leave feedback on your chosen podcast player. You can also visit the podcast website. Simply head across to thehappypsychic.show, and you can also find me on the socials by searching for @Gemma Lonsdale Guru.